Alright there folks, I got asked recently about my running ledger rig, mostly for the distance fishing. Now, on this particular venue, I was taking baits out to 80 yards or 80 meters, whatever, and dropping them off into an area that I know holds pike. The rod outfit I'm using is a 13-foot 4-pound test rod, big pit bait runner reel, and I'm using 50 to 80-pound braided main lines. Now, main lines on the bottom where their zebra mussels they can take a bit of a kicking, and the zebra mussels are very aggressive on the earth. They will destroy your main lines. So that means that you end up using shock leaders. On this occasion, I've been using this for a while now. I've been using shock leaders. This is a 60-pound version of it. You get 50-pound versions of it. It's a heavy, thick mono. The carp anglers use it, the catfish men use it, and it works for them when they're dragging fish back through snags. So I've started to incorporate it in my fishing this year. Well, 2 years, 3 years. You end up with 10 meters of the shock leader, 30 foot. That's more than enough so that your end tackle is safe from these little mussels and other snags. You come to the end of the rig, and I have some rig tubing. This is about 2 feet ish of rig tubing. I can't even remember the name of the rig tubing. It's just normal standard rig tubing, and then out of the end of it you have your shock leader. The rig tubing is the only bit of the line that you want touching the bottom. So this plastic coating protects the main line yet again. The running part of my run rig, I quite like these Catfish Pro run rings. These are ceramic rings encased in metal. They are really, really good. They're quite expensive. I think they're like £4 for 3 or £5 for 3. But they last forever, guys. I mean, they're really hard. I've stepped in them, they've bounced off rocks. I've never had issues with them. Then you just have your normal mono to a little quick clip, and that just goes down to your lead. Now, this is about 3 feet of 10-pound mono. It's whatever mono I had to hand. There's knots in it, so if the pike decides to, it's not a pike, if the lead gets snagged in behind a rock and I have to pull for a break, then I just pull for a break and lose the lead. I'm not too interested in the leads, it's just the lead. You can lose leads, who cares? On the end I have a good quality ball bearing swivel and clip. I then have a Fox tulip type bead. Any sort of bead's good enough as long as it stops the run ring going over it. I'm using the Fox ones because I had them lying around. When you're taking this out by the bait boat, you've got your lead in one hopper and your bait in the other, and it'll sit like that there. Obviously this will be clipped up to a trace, and that'll be quite happily sitting behind it. You can see that it's slightly angled, so if you're ever going to cast it, it kind of pulls itself apart, and there I took the rig tube out of it. Just put it back in. I know some guys that glue the rig tubing into the beads. I don't think that's necessary. A quick push, and there we go. It's happy enough in there. Now that'll sit on the bottom. The rig tube that sits on the bottom, it takes all the abuse from the zebra mussels. Your shock leader, if it sits on the bottom, if it's touching the bottom, or touching a snag, or touching a bar, or touching something else, it'll be more than stand up to the zebra mussels. It is important though to check it after every cast, or after every time you take it out with the bait boat. Just check it, run your fingers along it. If you can find a bit that's really, really hacked up and messed up, change the shock leader. It's not hard, it's not a big deal, it doesn't take too much of your time. It's just a shock leader, it's there to help you get the job done. If you're wanting to make your rig a bit more buoyant, then you know it doesn't. It's easy peasy. There's your end that's connected to your trace. About 4 foot from that or 5 foot from that, you would tie a stop knot, and then before you tie your shock leader to your main line, you would thread a bead, normal little 4mm plastic bead. And then you would thread on one of your little cheapy cheerful poppers, then slide in another bead. The glorious thing about this, the little bead and the little ball will float up the main line and come to where you've joined your main lines, joined your shock leader to your main line. It's not going to get over that knot, so it's quite happily going to sit at the end of your shock leader and just hold it off the bottom. Now you can use a little bead, or you can use the very big pop-ups. This is a 40mm catfish one. You can use this. It's yellow, which means if you're fishing somewhere that's relatively shallow, you might be able to see it. I don't really know. I don't think the pike care what colour it is. I use these for popping up the big dead bits that I have that I use. It's important though that you have to use decent lead. I quite like these ones. These are gripper leads. I get these from Nash. They're very aggressive, as you can see, with the little gripping things, I guess. They sink into the dirt fairly well. They hold the bottom. It's something I want to talk about. I don't see enough people using heavy enough lead when I'm fishing. I can't emphasize it enough. Anyone that's using 1 ounces or 2 ounces for pike fishing, you're using far, far too light. The very minimum weight of lead you should be using for a ledger rig, in my opinion, for fishing here in Northern Ireland or in the Republic, starts off at 3 ounces. That would be like a short distance. That would be on somewhere like a still water. If you're fishing somewhere that's got an undercurrent or moving water, then don't be afraid to use 4, 5, 6 ounces of lead. Don't be scared to use it. You want an anchor point that's fixed to the bottom and not going to move, lads. You don't want if your lead's moving, then your bite indication is shot. You're not going to get good bite indication. That leads to deep hooked fish. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants deep hooked fish. Nobody wants that stress. Nobody wants to do that to the fish. Another thing that I want to talk about is what I'm seeing on the Earn a lot is the guys that's using traces that are far, far too short. There's no excuse in today's world to be using a trace that's 12 inches. That's far too short. My minimum bait trace is 18 to 24 inches in length. That's 18. I wouldn't go any lower than 18 inches because if you get a decent fish, say that it's a pike that's into the 30-pound class, it'll be 18 inches right the way around its head. You don't want to have mono going anywhere near that fish's mouth, otherwise you're leaving the trace in its mouth, and that's a dead fish. My whole philosophy, lads, is when I'm fishing for pike, I want to use the gear that's heavy enough that I can get the pin without any stress or any problems. I'd rather have overkill than have too light a gear. I'll be honest, I think that mono, anything, I think even 15-pound mono is too light. My mono fishing, my mono main lines that I use is the P-line CX stuff. I use that at 20-pound breaking strain. It's awesome. It is awesome. It stands up to the zebra mussels. It ticks all the boxes that I need it to do. When I'm fishing with the mono main lines, then we're talking short to medium distance. Anything past medium distance, the stuff with the bait boat, then I use braid. My braided lines breaking strain starts at 50 pounds, and that's if I know the area is clear. There's no real stuff on the bottom that's going to foul me up. 50 pound is basic sort of strength for me. If there's a bit of a snag, or I know the area is a bit weedy, or there's a bit of crap you have to pull through, then use 80-pound braid. That doesn't bother me. I use Power Pro braid. I would have no problems using 80-pound braid at all. To me, it doesn't matter what color it is. I use the color codings for the braids on the spare spools. My red Power Pro is the £50 stuff, and the green stuff is the £80 stuff. So at a glance, I know green stuff is the higher stuff, red stuff is the lower stuff. That pretty much covers my running rig. If you have any other questions, feel free.